The state government had also accepted that there were widespread illegalities in the selection process. Full stop. The next, on 19 May 2022, the state government the government of West Bengal, in the school education department, issued an order in exercise of the power, in exercise of the provision, in exercise of the power conferred by Section 19. Don't say in exercise. Creating 6861 supernumerary posts of teachers and non-teaching staff for absorbing waitlisted candidates and directed that appointment letters to such waitlisted candidates should be issued in terms of the recommendation of the SSC, subject to the outcome of the pending litigation before the High Court. The court has been apprised during the course of the hearing that the petition under Article 226 of the Constitution WP capital A 250-256/2022 has been instituted before the High Court to challenge the order of the government creating the supernumerary posts to accommodate the waitlisted candidates and the full stop by an interim order, comma, the government order creating the supernumerary posts has been stayed. That petition is still pending, right? Pending. It is common ground that the petition is pending before the High Court. In this backdrop, comma, the High Court, by its impugned order, has, while setting aside the appointments, directed that bracket 1, the OMR sheets available in the 3 hard disks must be uploaded on the website of the SSC. 2, persons who had been appointed from outside the panel, comma, after the expiry of the panel, and against the submission of blank OMR sheets, must return all the remuneration and benefits received by them to the state exchequer, together with interest at 12% per annum, failing which recoveries, the outstandings would be recovered as arrears of land revenue. Semicolon, bracket 2, the CBI shall interrogate all persons who had received appointments beyond the panel, after expiry of the panel and after submitting blank OMR sheets, if necessary, by undertaking custodial interrogation, semicolon, bracket 3, CBI shall undertake a further investigation with regard to the persons involved in the state government who had approved the creation of supernumerary posts to accommodate illegal appointments, if necessary, by conducting a custodial interrogation. Semicolon, bracket 4, the SSC shall undertake a fresh selection process as a consequence of the vacancies which are declared on the setting aside of the appointments, other consequential directions have been issued. Next. The primary question which has been urged in the course of the hearing by the learned counsel appearing on behalf of the petitioners fall under four broad heads. Bracket 1, the data on the basis of which the High Court has set aside the appointments of nearly 25,000 persons, including assistant teachers and those appointed to non-teaching Group C and Group D posts, is itself suspect. Since the foundation of the entire exercise is the certificate under Section 65B issued by Pankaj Bansal, a former employee of NISA Communications Private Limited, from whose possession the 3 hard disks were seized. 2, in a selection process having such a large magnitude, cancellation of the entirety of the select list should be a matter of last recourse. And where a segregation of the tainted candidates is possible, only such appointments should be directed to be discontinued. 3, the above consideration must apply a fortiori in a situation where the petitions were filed nearly 3 years after the appointments were made, and the direction, particularly because the direction to set aside the entirety of the appointments would have serious repercussions to employees who have served the state. And 4, while there can be no, 4, where the appointments which are tainted are capable of being identified, it should be manifestly unjust for the High Court to set aside the entire selection process. Let's stop. On the other hand, it has been urged on behalf of the respondents who have supported the judgment of the High Court that both the SSC and the state government were not in a position to specifically identify to state that the possibility of future or further illegalities can be ruled out. Stop. In this backdrop, when a systemic fraud has vitiated the entire process, the High Court was justified in setting aside the entirety of the selection process. Next. We are of the view that the submissions which have been raised on behalf of the petitioners would merit further consideration. But stop. The issue pertaining to, don't say the issue pertaining to, the certificate under Section 65B of the Evidence Act was issued, as the CBI report notes, by Pankaj Bansal, who was a former employee of NISA Communications Private Limited. Would stop. The legitimacy of the certificate, which has been obtained from the above individual, would prima facie lie at the root of the data which forms the basis of the judgment of the High Court to set aside the entirety of the appointments. That apart, from the material which has been placed on the record before the High Court by the SSC and by the CBI during the course of its investigation, it would emerge that the appointments which suffer from taint from, what did I say, from the material? Question from the course of the investigation, a further issue which would merit closer analysis is as to whether the appointments which suffer from a taint can be specifically segregated. Would stop. If such an exercise is possible, it would be unfair to set aside the entirety of the selection, which extends to as many as to approximately 25,000 appointments. Full stop. The court cannot also be unmindful of the impact of the setting aside of a large complement of assistant teachers who have been recruited for both class 9 and 10 and class 11-class 12 students, which would be the consequence if the impugned judgment were to be upheld as it stands. Let's stop. Assuming that such a segregation is possible, this court would have to determine the modalities which would be followed for that purpose. Let's stop. At this stage, the court must be guided by the fact that by its order dated 9 November 2023, this court had protected the appointments which had been granted subject to the direction to the High Court to expeditiously dispose of the writ petition. We'll stop. Bearing in mind the High Court, bearing in mind the present stage of the matter, we are of the view that an expeditious and early disposal of these proceedings would be in the interest of justice, and we accordingly direct that the proceedings be listed for hearing and final disposal on 16 July 2024. We'll stop. In the meantime, we are inclined to continue the ad interim protection which was granted by this court in its order dated 9 November 2023, subject to the express stipulation that persons that any person who is found to have been appointed illegally and is continued as a consequence of the present order shall undertake to refund the entire amount of the salary which may be paid between the date of this order and the final judgment of this court. Full stop. This would cover illustratively the 4 categories of individuals noted earlier, namely, bracket 1. We need not, we can just say for the 4. In paragraph 240 of the judgment, which has been reproduced.
Your Lordship have not said anything about the state sub.
Now we just on the earlier date, the High Court has, by its impugned order, directed the CBI to investigate the creation of supernumerary posts at all rungs of the state government. Full stop. The above direction of the High Court was stayed by this court.
You didn't stay that, only said no precipitated action taken.
The above, this court, by its previous order, had directed that no precipitate action would be taken in
Clause 8 may be stayed,
in pursuance of the direction contained
Right, the investigation.
in clause 8 of the operative directions of the High Court, which is reproduced below. Just give the PDF page, please, of that.
We'll give it to the court master. 281, my lord, possibly.
Para 363.
Para 363.
Clause 8.
Mr. Rakesh Dwivedi and Mr. Jaideep Gupta, then Mr. Rakesh Dwivedi appearing on behalf of the
State
State of West Bengal
and Mr. Neeraj Kaul.
and with Mr. Neeraj Kishan Kaul, Learned Senior Counsel, state that as a matter of fact, no appointment whatsoever
Yes.
has been made in pursuance of the order of the state government dated
19th May
19
22.
May 2022,
22.
which in any event forms the subject matter of a pending writ petition before the High Court,
Court.
where the creation of the supernumerary posts has been stayed. Full stop.
Except one, my lord, that was.
That was
Uh,
cancer patient.
That is an exception.
Which even this
However-
division bench has upheld.
However, it appears that there is one exception has been made in the case of of an individual
But that is not
on
a
medical grounds.
post.
Soma Das.
That is not a supernumerary post, right? All right.
It's the
That's-
supernumerary
that's
post.
all right.
Soma Das.
That's all right. Nobody is setting aside her appointment, right? Don't say that. The earlier order of this court, in regard to the above direction of the High Court, shall continue to remain in
I'm
operation.
grateful. I'm grateful.
Pending the subject to the aforesaid.
That is faster.
Subject
We are giving undertaking.
to the above, subject to the above stipulations, comma, the judgment of the High Court dated so and so shall remain stayed till
Judgment also directs us to further investigate. Directs CBI to further investigate.
That has
we have
been
not,
stayed.
we are the investigation in regard to the creation of supernumerary posts.
No, my lord, your lordship staying the order would stay the CBI investigation as well.
That's only in regard to the supernumerary posts.
Kindly, my lord, kindly see, my lord. Lord, 7 is, only a minute. Lord, I have not said anything, but let me say it. Lord, kindly see 7.
Look, we will not stay clause 7.
I'm not
7,
concerned
yes,
with 7.
All right. The direction, we however clarify that the direction contained in operative, that the following direction which has been issued by the High Court in operative direction 7.
And 9, my lord. 9 is to file report.
7 again, there's no appointees to take custodial interrogation.
No, 7 we will not stay because 7 covers 4 cases who had received appointments beyond the panel.
Yes.
After the expiry of the panel, submitting blank OMRs to.
I'm sorry, Milord, I'm sorry, sorry, Milord, on that, our custodial interrogation.
Lord, there has to be, my lord.
We however permit the CBI to continue its investigation in respect of bracket 1, persons who had received appointments beyond the panel, semicolon, bracket 2.
Dispute, I'm sorry, Milord,
Persons who were appointed after.
have stay of this.
That's seriously in dispute, Milord, we have
One-
challenged.
We should go those who have been identified.
Milord, let 16th of July, Milord, the
7
judgment
and
assets will
9.
be stayed. Sorry.
No, investigation.
The judgment.
All right, Aisa Likho, in modification of the previous order, we direct that the investigation, which has been ordered by the High Court, pursuant to clauses 7 and 8 of its operative directions, in paragraph 363, by the CBI shall continue, but no coercive steps
Very,
shall be
no,
taken.
but Milords, not 8.
Rest of the order stayed.
Not 8, my lords.
Why?
My lords, 8 involves the cabinet.
That is supernumerary, my lord.
8 involves supernumerary, the cabinet force. And that's why your lordship
Nine.
stated. Your lordship
7 and
says
9.
7 and 9, not 8, my lords. That is people who
7.
prepared the cabinet.
Only whether they identified illegalities, not they should
Second.
go.
7 and 9.
We have said 7. 9 is an adjunct of 7.
Yes.
8 in regard to the creation of supernumerary posts we have stayed right now. So that's-
My lords, the lordships may just clarify that. That's all that we are saying.
Just 1 second, just 1 second. The supernumerary posts, we have recorded the statement of the government that not a single appointment has been made to a supernumerary post. And that's the subject matter of a pending petition before the Calcutta
Right.
High Court where that has been stayed.
High Court was asking.
And insofar as the other categories are concerned, in clause 7 of the order,
Yes.
we are permitting the CBI investigation
Right.
to continue,
Right.
subject to the stipulation regarding clause.
It's a grant.
Chalo.
Grateful man.